cleared in the implementation of the state's medical marijuana program.
Today, the Oklahoma State Board of Health approved the emergency rules drafted by the department with a few exceptions. As Fox 25's Emily Collins reports, some organizations are promising litigation. Emily.
Mike and Wendy, the board voted to ban the sale of all forms of smokable medical marijuana and to require dispensaries to hire a pharmacist. Both are recommendations made yesterday by leaders in the state's medical community, and they have many people now crying foul. After months of careful review and consideration, Julia Zell, General Counsel for the Oklahoma State Department of Health, presented a summary of proposed rules governing the state's medical marijuana authority.
These are proposed rules that we are presenting to the board for their consideration and possible approval.
These rules cover everything from licensing to who can sell medical marijuana to prescribing medical marijuana to a minor. The board eventually did approve them, but not without an exception and a modification. First, the board voted to amend the rules to prohibit the sale of smokable medical marijuana, citing concern for the ongoing efforts being put in to reduce the prevalence of smoking. They then voted to modify language in the rule.
What does that even mean? All right. You want to lower the prevalence of smoking? We're talking about marijuana. There's no reason there's no scientific reason. There's no cancer wards full of marijuana smokers. Nobody's ever died from smoking marijuana. There's absolutely no science backing up anything that would claim that smoking marijuana is dangerous. And quite frankly, when doctors get on there with their condescending little, oh, putting dried leaves into a paper and firing it up is definitely not a way to do medicine. Yeah, whatever, man. Neither is eating like toxic pills all the time and, you know, having shards of pills in your stomach and in all your organs. Why do you think they tell people to stop eating Vicodins so much? Because the acetaminophen was literally killing people. But no, somehow smoking marijuana is bad. Since you don't have any science to do that, then you shouldn't be able to do that one. That's an obvious one there. So, and by the way, all these states that have the no smoking marijuana, medical marijuana policy, it's just some authoritarian, right-wing, you know, I'm your dad kind of bullshit. All right? We don't care about that. We don't need you to tell us how to administer our medicine. All right? That's just absurd. That's just being like super authoritarian and obnoxious about it.
Rules to require every dispensary to hire a board-certified pharmacist. Interim Health Commissioner Tom Bates commended the board for doing their job.
They fulfilled their role in this process, and for that I'm thankful.
Yeah, well, you're an idiot, Tom, and so is everybody else that tries to legislate marijuana rules for how to regulate medical marijuana. It's just absurdity. To say that there has to be a board-certified pharmacist sitting at a dispensary, that's just an extra cost for the dispensary to incur. And by the way, what's this pharmacy guy going to be doing all day? Just sitting there twiddling his thumbs? They're not trained to do anything in a dispensary. As a matter of fact, most people that work in big pharma for big pharma are doctors that work, let's face it, they work for big pharma too. They don't like medical marijuana. They don't want to learn about it. They don't care about it. They're in their hubris and their egotistical view of themselves. They went to school. They learned about medicine. They're right. You're wrong. They don't know anything about the endocannabinoid system. And quite frankly, they're all just full of shit. So keep trusting doctors, keep trusting pharmacists, and now hire them at the dispensary where they don't even want to be, to do something that they have no idea about and don't even want to learn. Excellent rule. What else?
Members of the cannabis industry agreed, but they also expressed opposition. Chip Paul with Oklahomans for Health called the need for a pharmacist unnecessary.
You need a pharmacist to prescribe FDA-regulated medicines.
Medical marijuana is not FDA regulated because it's federally illegal. Bud Scott, attorney and...
Well, how about because it's not a pill? It's not one of those things that the FDA is in charge of food and drugs. They're not in charge of herbs. last time I checked. And whenever they try to regulate herbs, they do a really horrible job of it. They use a hammer to fix any problem. They're like, you know what? Let's just ban the substance altogether. They would like to do that with everything at GNC, believe me.
An executive director for New Health Solutions Oklahoma says litigation is inevitable, no matter how you look at 788's implementation.
I think it's pretty clear that you'll see most likely a form of litigation ensue, both from opponents and from supporters.
Some organizations, like the American Civil Liberties Union,
form of litigation ensue.
You know, what is that in the background right behind him? That's a bottle of liquor. It could be wine, but that looks like a handle, and this looks like a half-gallon of liquor. That's just the way it is, man. We're nitpicking around how people are allowed to smoke marijuana and making some kind of authoritarian thing like, oh, we got to have a pharmacy guy there, like he's some kind of cop or something. What is this? What is all that? That's called being an authoritarian dickhead, where you can just have a bottle of liquor anytime you want, has no medical value, is highly addictive, is super dangerous, can cause you to cause danger to other people. But yet, we are super casual about that. Don't give a fuck about it. This guy could have like 100 of those bottles in his house. No one's going to say shit. That could be pure alcohol, too. It could be 95% alcohol in most states. Which is enough. A bottle that big could probably kill like 3 or 4 people. But somehow, we got to worry about how people are smoking their marijuana. If they are, we got to arrest them. And we got to have a pharmacist sitting in the dispensary for some reason. No one knows why exactly.
Both from opponents and from supporters.
Some organizations, like the American Civil Liberties Union of Oklahoma, have already pledged litigation. Executive Director Ryan Kissel took to Twitter saying, quote, in banning all smokable forms of medical cannabis in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Health Department just guaranteed litigation. But what that might mean for the program is unknown. This is why NHSO and others continue calling for a special session. Oklahoma State Representative Jason Lowe is calling for a special session following today's vote. Lowe says, quote, today's decision is an affront to democracy and an insult to the law-abiding citizens that showed up to vote for this initiative.
Well, I wouldn't count on getting this meeting because Mary Fallin already didn't want to do the regulations, so that's why you had this emergency rule thing come out by the health department, is because she decided not to have an emergency extension for the session so that they could hammer out some rules that they practically already all had ready to go. They just had to argue about some finer details and shit and then been like, boom, here you go. Here's how we're going to make this happen. She knows that. So this is all obstructionism, and it's going to backfire. It already has backfired. We're going to see all about how it backfired.
In order to ensure that the will of the people is protected from bureaucracy and to save the state from yet another embarrassing lawsuit, I am calling on the governor to immediately call for a special session. Governor Mary Fallin has 45 days to approve or reject today's rules.
Don't hold your breath. She's going to approve the rules.
The overall issue is the problem with our government in Oklahoma and their exercising of authority that they don't have and their failure to listen to the people.
Okay, so here we go. The lawsuits already came. Let's check that out first.
2 lawsuits filed today against Governor Mary Fallin and the Oklahoma State Department of Health.
Both say that department stepped out of its legal bounds when it developed and passed the emergency rules for medical marijuana. As Fox 25's Emily Collins reports, the plaintiffs are counting on state lawmakers to step up and take action. Emily.
Mike and Wendy, one of the lawsuits filed today seeks an injunction which could slow down the implementation of State Question 788. The other does not. However, both parties are looking to the governor and the legislature to ensure a proper rulemaking structure is quickly put into place. It's been 2 days since Governor Mary Fallin signed controversial emergency rules establishing the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. And already, 2...
All right, so just in case anybody's watching this and this is all new to you, the first clip that we watched there was from the 10th. Now, this clip just came out today, I believe. So well, they're saying 2 days. Well, anyway, this already all happened. Like, the lawsuits came right after the emergency rules were set. Mary Fallin signed them. And now, 2 days later, lawsuits.
Two groups have filed suit. The first by Green the Vote, a pro-marijuana advocacy group based in Tulsa. The suit alleges 5 members of the State Board of Health violated the law by conspiring behind closed doors to amend the rules. Attorney Ronald Durbin is representing the group.
So before they get into this, this is just a trend going on in those Republican states that are holdouts for legalizing any kind of medical marijuana. Yeah, the trend has been what we've seen in Ohio. We've seen it in Oklahoma. We've seen it in Missouri. We've seen it in Utah, Nebraska. And what we've seen time and time again is officials, public officials, like doing backroom meetings, like they did in Michigan to hammer out the medical marijuana rules for the new laws that they made in 2016. Or, you know, you'll have like a police sheriff using public resources like the Sheriff's Department Facebook page to go do reefer madness against a ballot initiative. And to me, this is all illegal activity. You're not supposed to have secret meetings with lobbyists and, you know, cronies to decide how to make special rules on something that the people voted for and in a landslide fashion passed. So, I don't know, you know, just one more little side thing, just a little side note that this is nothing new when you hear about these backroom deals and these shady rule-making things that to try to thwart marijuana regulations. I mean, that's what happened in Florida. You know, when the people went to the voting booth and voted yes on medical marijuana in Florida, nobody had any idea that anybody was talking about, well, we're not talking about smokable marijuana. And nobody in Oklahoma thought that either. You know, maybe there's some people that wondered it because they seen what happened in Florida. And maybe even in Florida they wondered it because they've seen other states that have already done that, like Pennsylvania, New York, Illinois. All these places that have these, like what I call complete dog shit medical marijuana laws. And we don't want Oklahoma to be another one of those. They had one of the best platforms going for a medical marijuana law. They should have put right in there clear as day, oh, and by the way, there won't be any prohibiting of smoking. So, whatever. Anyway, let's hear what they got to say here.
We believe we have evidence that there were behind-the-scenes negotiations and discussions amongst certain members that we've named in this lawsuit to bring forth the amendments that essentially destroy the intent of 788.
The second lawsuit was filed the same day in Cleveland County District Court.
So, you know, one more little final thing to wrap that up. This is just ridiculous. How, you know, time and time again, when it comes to these marijuana laws passing and then the regulations and rules coming in, we have people kind of getting in the process that didn't want it to pass in the first place. And they're doing everything they can to make it so it don't work. And I want to see people go to jail over this shit. I'm sick of it. This kind of obstruction is way over the top, uncalled for, illegal, but they act like they're above the fucking law. And they act like they're even more above the law because it's about weed. Oh, well, we can do this illegal procedure or just totally try to thwart the law altogether by throwing in some rules that don't make sense. And this is Oklahoma. My memory hole isn't that short. I remember Scott Pruitt was the Attorney General of Oklahoma, and he fucked him over by changing the description of the title, which doesn't make a bit of sense why he thought he had the authority to do it. He didn't have the authority to do it. He did it anyway, only to make it so that because of procedure, it didn't get on the ballot in 2016. That's why they just voted on it in a special session, because they had to go to the Supreme Court to get where we are now. That's the kind of fucking obstruction we're talking about on 788. Believe me. This story is a long, ongoing thing. I've been making clips about it since my channel started.
Court. This one on behalf of 8 individuals who attorney Rachel Bussett says intend to apply for a patient or business license.
The reason that we filed is we believe that the actions taken violate the Administrative Procedures Act. The department did not follow the proper emergency rulemaking process. Then they also exceeded the authority of their enabling legislation as set forth in State Question 788.
Bussett also argues the board violated the state's Open Meetings Act when they passed 2 last-minute amendments banning the sale of smokable marijuana products and requiring a pharmacist at every dispensary.
So that's 2 lawsuits that allege this, violation of the Open Meetings Act, which is essentially saying, hey, these guys met in secret with some shady people and made some fucking rules that we don't agree with. And it's just, further, it's a bigger bridge to go over. It's a bigger hill to climb for the state of Oklahoma to try to beat that charge twice. This is 2 separate lawsuits. They're not going to be tried by the same judge, probably even. They might be. But these are 2 completely different lawsuits, and they're both going to make Oklahoma answer to this secret fucking meeting that I'm really pissed off about. Because, again, I'm seeing like Scott Pruitt, when he did his shit, he got away with it. And the Oklahoma Supreme Court, when they made their decision, they were like, and Scott Pruitt, yeah, he probably did some shady shit. That's all they would really say. That's it. No, oh yeah, Scott Pruitt, he needs to go to jail for that corrupt bullshit that he did. No investigation as to why he did it or who he was working on the behalf of. He wasn't working on the behalf of sick people in Oklahoma, I guarantee that. The will of the people that wanted to vote for this back then. Here we are 2 years later, and we still are getting obstruction on this. So how deep will it go? Well, the lawsuits are there, but none of that's going to help anything anytime soon. As long as these emergency rules are standing, you can't just immediately strike them unless this special session comes up and they argue until Mary Fallin decides that she's not going to that she's going to turn back over on them. I don't think that it's too late. It's too late. That road has already came. The exit was coming. We seen it on the highway, and then we drove past it. And you can't do a U-turn on that one. Now you're looking at the lawsuits, and that's where we're at.
Don Gregg is one of the 8 plaintiffs.
There are patients that are suffering from cancers that prohibit them from ingesting anything. They can't hold anything down, or they just cannot swallow. So smoking it is the only way they're going to get it in their system.
Well, you know what? It shouldn't be up to the fucking government to tell me how I take my medicine or what I consider medicine if marijuana is already considered medicine, smokable or vapor or suppository. It's not the government shouldn't be, that's not a decision they should make. And again, I'll say one more time that, hey, there's really no scientific backing for any reason for you to say that you want to prohibit the smoking of it. So you're just doing that because you want to be an authoritarian figure. So what else can Oklahoma do about this? Well, first of all, they can legalize marijuana altogether. Then they can't really distinguish whether you're smoking or not with medical marijuana. And the people running this one, Kim Dans, is one of thousands of volunteers working to get signatures. She says, quote, "The medical marijuana I support because there's so many people it can be helpful to," she said. "The proponents of recreational marijuana say it can stimulate our economy. It can create jobs. I was very surprised at the overwhelming support there was in our little town," she said. And she was in Manford, standing outside the Mason Jar. And thank you, the Mason Jar, for letting her stand out there. She thinks the support comes after this week's decision to not allow smokable marijuana to be part of 788. What do you know about that? Because of what the state did, the Department of Health and the governor signing it, I think that's rallied people like myself. I think it has. I mean, she's just a volunteer that's getting signatures. And the people running it, let's see. Shelley Free is an activist with Green the Vote. She said she has personally seen a spike in signatures. Quote, due to the citizen response from the public, we have not even been able to keep our petitions in stock. Free said they are almost at their goal. We're getting over 100 requests a day. And that's for people that want petitions to circulate. She doesn't doubt that they'll have enough signatures. Quote, we're not really worried about the signature count now. We're more worried about the deadlines. Many volunteers will set up across the state starting at 8 a.m. Saturday, available with petitions to sign. The deadline to sign and submit these signatures is August 8th. So if you live in Oklahoma and you still haven't seen these petitions getting circulated, I'm guessing all you have to do is go out anywhere tomorrow or Sunday and you'll find somebody circulating a petition somewhere in your area. I can almost guarantee it. And like they said, they'll probably get the signature count nailed down this weekend. So yay, they're like three and a half weeks ahead of time on that. And that's basically, you know, that's all good news. And quite frankly, that's what happens when you do a Jeff Sessions. You rally the troops. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you do a Mary Fallin or a Scott Pruitt in Oklahoma. And that's why when somebody asks me, what do you think about Oklahoma? Do you think that they're going to pass 788 when they go to vote for it? It's a pretty right-wing state, you know. What did I say about that? I said it's going to be a landslide. I said that before it happened, because the reason I said it was going to be a landslide is because the people are ready for it. The people have been snubbed by the government in an authoritarian kind of, you know, oh, hey, we don't want you to do this, so we're going to do everything we can, even break the rules and do shady shit, backroom meetings, and Scott Pruitt doing unconstitutional bullshit. We're going to do all that. That's what the government's going to do. And when the government does that, it makes people want to go sign that petition. It makes people want to get off the couch and go vote in November for legalizing marijuana, which they're going to do. So mark my words on that one. It's going to probably be another landslide, and that's basically all I got on this one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And to my Oklahoma people, congratulations on everything, and sorry about the obstruction. But like I said, it's going to help overall with the resolve and the dedication for people to get this done. And as far as the obstructionists go, your days are numbered. I really wish there was some kind of penalty at the end of it for you, but I know you're just going to get rewarded by your big buddies in Washington, and that's why you do these things. That's why prohibitionists exist. All right, peace.